Good afternoon and welcome to the regular meeting of the City of Glendale Commission on the Status of Women. Our meetings are now open to the public and can be viewed on local cable, Charter Cable Channel 6, and AT&T UVerse Channel 99. The meeting can also be viewed online at www.glendaleca.gov by scrolling all the way to the bottom of the page and selecting Live Streaming, which is the third icon from the left. Members of the public are welcome to provide public comments and questions in person or can call in during the meeting at 818-937-8100. City staff will submit these questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person during the Commission on the Status of Women meeting. May I have roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioners Burselian,
Here.
Ojayan,
Yes.
Chair Lamboat,
Yes.
Perian, Tatians,
Present.
ex officio Gonzalez,
Here.
ex officio Roth.
Present.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next is my report. The agenda for May 8th, 2023 regular meeting of the Commission on the Status of Women was posted on Thursday, May 4th, 2023 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next are introductions and presentations. Today we have two presentations. Our first presentation is Sexual Assault Mock Bill by YMCA Young Legislators, Mallory Apey and Nicole Alejandro, and their advisor, Chelsea Lawrence. So I would like to invite them up to give their presentation.
Welcome.
Hi, everybody. My name is Chelsea Lawrence. I am the Director of Programs at the YMCA of the Foothills. And one program I have the pleasure of leading is our Youth in Government program, which is a program for 9th through 12th graders that is a mock California legislature. And I have Nicole and Mallory here to introduce what they have been working on this year. So I am going to pass the floor to them.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Alejandro, and I served as the bill chair for our YMCA of the Foothills Youth in Government delegation. As bill chair, I wrote the bills and helped our delegates draft bill ideas, including the bill we are presenting to you tonight. Thank you for welcoming us here to showcase one of the mock bills we have worked on this year. Youth in Government is a model legislature and court that enables high school students to learn about civic engagement and experience government policies. One of the many opportunities students have throughout the program is to participate in the legislative houses. In doing so, students brainstorm mock bill ideas to either change a bill, add on to an existing bill, or create a completely new bill. Once the bill idea has been finalized, it is sent to our Sacramento conference in February to be debated among the students in the Model House and Senate and possibly the youth governor. One of our delegates, Mallory Apey, participated in these debates and served as a bill sponsor for our mock bill covering sexual assault within the National Guard that she is here to present to you today. Thank you.
Good afternoon, members on the Commission on the Status of Women. Thank you for inviting me to speak with you. I'm here to discuss a needed change in the California National Guard regarding how sexual assault cases are investigated. Sexual assault in the National Guard is a huge problem across the country. Army Specialist Vanessa Guillen was only 20 years old when she died while stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. Under the watch of the United States military, Guillen went missing on April 22, 2020. Before then, she informed her family that she was being sexually harassed by one of her superiors. By June 30th, 2020, human remains were found in Bell County, Texas, and on July 3rd, the Army confirmed that the remains were Guillen's. She was allegedly killed by one of her superior officers, Specialist Aaron Robinson. The death of Vanessa Guillen was a tragedy and exposed the Army's poor regulations regarding sexual assault. According to Ryan D. McCarthy, the Secretary of the Army, Fort Hood had experienced violent deaths, suicides, and multiple complaints about sexual assault on the base. This is just one famous example. There was also the case of then 19-year-old female Private First Class Florence Schmorgener, who was sexually assaulted one afternoon in 2015 in her friend's room in the barracks at the Marines' 29 Palms base in California. After the sexual assault, Schmorgener fell into a deep depression. Soon, her fear gave way to self-loathing. Over the next 4 years, Schmorgener tried to kill herself 6 times. Sexual assault in the United States military is an unresolved issue. However, this problem not only affects soldiers on a national scale. We can also look to our state's own National Guard and see how it has the same issues. A less publicized example involves the assault of Christine Kleberg, a loadmaster for cargo planes in the California Air National Guard in April 2015. Following her assault, Kleberg reported her case, but was consistently failed by superior officers. Her case was denied, along with her transfer request and her search for mental health services. Kleberg fell into a suicidal state, and after misinformation regarding her attempt to secure long-term mental health services for the assault, she was medically discharged from the National Guard. It is unacceptable that the National Guard continues to ignore sexual assault. The Guard is an established organization that has an enormous amount of resources to protect its troops and investigate sexual assault allegations. Our bill proposes a viable solution to this alarming problem. Sexual assault cases in the Guard are first sent to local law enforcement, and if denied, are then sent to the Adjutant General for further review. The bill would require all cases involving sexual assault accusations within the California National Guard, not taken up by local law enforcement, to be sent directly to the OCI, or Office of Complex Investigations. Currently, the Adjutant General has the responsibility of seeking out the OCI, yet they fail to do so on a consistent basis. If the National Guard cannot properly handle sexual assault reports on its own, the process must be more direct so that cases can be handled seriously and with the full force of the law. The Guard has proven time and time again through survivors' stories and surveys that there is no plan to put an end to this sexual assault epidemic. According to a Capital Times article from April 2021, the number of reported sexual assaults in the Guard jumped nationwide from 173 in 2009 to 607 in 2019, more than a threefold increase. Beyond that, little data exists. Even Guard officials are in the dark about the most basic information about sexual assault cases nationwide. Removing the Adjutant General as a middleman will make people feel more comfortable to speak up about any issues they may be having with their peers or superiors, not relying on the Adjutant General to make decisions. Our bill will help avoid more tragedies and protect the well-being of the brave people that serve our state. Vanessa Guillen, Florence Schmorgener, and Christine Kleberg are 3 of many. According to a recent article in the New York Times Magazine, women remain a distinct minority, making up only 16.5% of the armed services, yet nearly 1 in 4 servicewomen reports experiencing sexual assault in the military, and more than half report experiencing harassment, according to a meta-analysis of 69 studies published in 2018 in the journal Trauma, Violence, and Abuse. We need this bill to create change and justice for victims of sexual assault. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We might have some questions or comments from the commission members or the students. I would like to first ask, could you tell us a little bit about the program?
So YNG starts in September, and we meet on a weekly basis, and part of the program is the legislative body, and so that part drafts bills around November, December, And then with those bills, we have a bill hearing night later in the year in like January, where we go over them with some people from the community. And then we take the bills to Sacramento, which is our big conference of the year. And at Sacramento, the people who are in the legislature, we go into committees and we review all the bills and vote to pass or deny them.
And how was your bill treated?
So the speech that I just gave is a little different than the actual one that I did in Sacramento, because after further research, the bill that I was trying to propose actually applied to federal law, and so it didn't work with what we were trying to do because we are only allowed to change California legislature. So this one's a little bit adjusted to just the National Guard so that it addresses that as opposed to like the US military.
Well, you're to be commended for the work you've done, and to be that ambitious is really, I think, something.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Kojayan?
I want to just tell you, thank you very much for this important and informative information that you presented. Thank you.
Student ex officio Roth, did you have a question?
Well, first of all, commissioners, I was in the program for, I think, 2 years, almost 3 years. And when you do bring your bills to Sacramento, it's not necessarily a good read of how well the bill would do, obviously, in the legislature. But I know our bill, we had been in session for maybe 2-3 hours, and all the kids were just kind of fed up with listening to bills, and they wouldn't even hear speeches for ours. I think we ran through it. So, because, you know, in the assembly, you can vote to make debates shorter. But I do have a question, which is, are you attempting to, I mean, obviously you're here to tell us about your bill, but are you attempting to put it somewhere and to actually move it forward into California's legislature?
I haven't like put any actual, this is like the first step that I would take. But yes, I would love to see this go somewhere.
Okay, because I am in close contact with Senator Portantino, who I'm sure would, I mean, obviously it's hard to get time with him, but he's really, I mean, I don't know if you've probably seen some of his legislature, but super engaged in the worlds of women's rights. We actually read a lot of his bills here, so if you ever wanted me to help connect you, or if you guys already have connection.
And I think most of us on this dais have relationships with Assemblymember Laura Friedman, Senator Portantino, Adam Schiff's office, et cetera. So you would have a lot of, I think, connections to get in touch with those offices. Yes, Sona?
This was a great presentation. Thank you for the information. I wanted to know, how did you pick the topic? Do you have any, do you know someone who was personally involved in any of these actions, or like how did you get interested in the topic?
I don't know anyone personally, but it was actually right after the documentary came out called I Am Vanessa Guillen. And so there was a documentary on like what happened and like the whole process that her family went through on trying to get new legislation passed. And they actually got a bill passed at like the federal level. And so that addressed some issues, but there's obviously still a lot more that needs to be done. So that's how I heard about it.
Thank you.
So first off, thank you so much for coming and presenting for us. But my question is, could you elaborate a little bit on how one would go about joining the program?
So to join the program, we have like a welcome meeting at the beginning of the school year, just for all the new delegates who are thinking of joining. And we try to promote through social media, and it's a lot of like word of mouth. And so I can I don't know how old you are or if you want to join, but I let you know when the meeting is, and we just try to spread the word.
Awesome, thank you so much.
I don't have any questions, but thank you for this information. It's very, it's disturbing that it hasn't been addressed, but hopefully you'll get it through somehow. Thank you.
And do you have political aspirations?
Potentially.
Good for you. All right, anything else? All right, thanks so much, and congratulations on the great work you've done. We were so happy you could come and present to us.
Thank you so much.
Next item, please.
Next is a presentation by Glendale Unified School District, on the Glendale Unified School District Yellow Ribbon Week by GUSD Director Hagop Yilmezekyan. And I'd like to invite him to the podium to speak.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I'm Ago Yilmezekyan. I'm the Director of Student Support Services for Glendale Unified School District. And my office has a lot of responsibilities, and one of the big ones is school safety and student safety. So Yellow Ribbon Week is something that we've been doing ever since I started working at the district office in the district since 2005. It's every January, and it's during the week of Martin Luther King Jr.'s holiday, or his commemoration day. And this past year, it was during January 16th through 20th. We have two different events. One is Red Ribbon Week, which is drug-free, and then Yellow Ribbon Week is strictly focusing on school safety and kindness, and be kind to each other. All 30 schools participate, and they have weekly activities. They have, I can't share the activities with you because that would mean that I would have to share about a couple of hundred, because every school has a daily activity from elementary schools all the way to the high schools, different obviously for different levels. This school year, we tried to bring back Hands and Words Are Not for Hurting campaign. We've had this many years ago before I was in charge of student services. It's kind of been a slow move forward since we've been back and open since COVID. A lot of the programs we're trying to revive again. We're trying to incorporate the Hands and Words Are Not for Hurting campaign with our PBIS policy we have, which is positive behavior and support. And so that's something that we're trying to work it in so that we can have a better success using it next year, at least in our elementary schools, and so we can incorporate the entire program. I'm ready to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, I think we just want to thank you very much for that, and thank you for appearing. I did appear before the Glendale Unified School Board a couple of months ago. We gave a grant to the school district that allowed the school district to purchase the materials. So I think we purchased them and then forwarded them to the school district, which is why you're here today.
We did receive them. We did distribute those. I apologize for not mentioning
No,
it.
no,
Yes,
it's fine.
we did. Thank you very much. We received all the material, and we have it. We distributed it to all the schools in the district. So that was done. And thank you.
Great. Well, thank you for appearing and just speaking to us today about it. We appreciate it. Any questions or comments? Greer?
Hi, thank you for so much in coming and speaking. So you said you're the Director of Student Services for GUSD, correct?
Correct.
So, so your main focus is on doing those weeks and kind of,
Oh,
or
no.
well, I'm sure there's a lot more that you do, but that's what you're coming to talk to us about, correct?
I thought I may have misunderstood your question. Did you ask if our focus on safety is only during that week, or are you asking for my position specifically?
I mean, yeah, obviously it encompasses all of these separate weeks, but is it mainly kind of, I guess when you say student services, I'm just not quite sure what that exactly means, because I have a question relating to it.
Okay, so we have educational services, which focuses on pedagogy, academic instruction, classes, et cetera. Student support services, and among other departments in the district, kind of do the periphery of that. So providing, support to the schools outside of the classroom or inside of the classroom as it comes to safety and variety of different things. Safety plans, and I'm in charge of discipline as well, permits, a lot of things, and enrollment mainly, and so there's a lot in the department.
Okay, so then I think my question does apply, which is, so when you are having, like, let's say this week, which I know is like hurting, kindness, and like kind of, we were kind of seeing it more as like also like assault in the household, assault at school, like things like that. It kind of, or maybe I'm incorrect, but like kind of when you're encouraging kindness and all of that, have you guys ever maybe considered putting money towards having like more counselors on campus, more, because I know that at least at my school, I mean, I know that a lot of schools are transitioning into this whole wellness thing, but I just feel, I mean, we're spending a lot of, I mean, when we're funding it too on these weeks where I feel like they could be doing so much more than they really are.
What school do you go to?
Crescenta Valley High School.
Okay, so you have your wellness center.
We just
right?
opened it, yeah,
We
but
just
I
opened it.
know.
Right, but we've over the past few years, the number of counselors and therapists that we've hired, whether they're interns or they're employees for the district, has gone up tremendously in numbers. So any student who has any kind of needs support, mental health, depression, for any reason, all they have to do is ask, and a counselor will be assigned, whether in-house or through an agency that we work with, mainly in Glendale.
Yeah.
Riello Ribbon Week does not necessarily cost a lot of money. It's student-driven. So there's, other than, the generous...
That's what I was curious.
The ribbons, and not the ribbons, but the wristbands and so forth, and the stickers that we receive, we don't spend a lot of money.
I see.
It's schools doing things that doesn't cost anything but raises awareness.
Sure.
Activities on campus. I mean, I'm sure during the week, the ASB at CV probably puts on
That's what I do.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
Puts on activities on campus to raise awareness.
Okay.
But that's just a very specific week to raise awareness.
Sure.
But as far as school safety and student safety,
Yeah.
that is our number one priority. And
Of
if you
course.
watch the board meetings, I've done a lot of presentations. We've done a lot of presentation on schools. It's a very delicate balance between making our schools a welcoming place as well as a safe place.
Of course.
And so that takes a lot of effort on our end to do that. But if a student is not feeling safe for any reason on campus, there's no learning happening. So we have to focus on that absolutely all the time.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, my children went to Glendale schools also, and we had a lot of parent involvement back then. Is that still the case now? And are the parents helping out in this, in driving this forward within the school district?
Absolutely, parents are always welcome. We get a little bit more parent participation in the elementary schools, and as students go to middle and high schools, is not as much as we want to, but they're always welcome. We have the PTAs and we have different committees that parents can always come and join and support and help. And some parents sit on our school safety committees that we have to when we're looking at school safety in general, so that we have parents who sit on that as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Tatiana and I participated a couple of weeks ago in Principal for a Day program, and it was terrific. And then there was a luncheon during which all of the principals for a day spoke about their experiences at the school, and there was just such support for the schools. It was actually pretty moving, I would say. Not that there's always, there are always things that need to be done, but I think that there's, Glendale schools have a lot to be proud of.
Thank you. We appreciate those kind words. Contrary to what some people believe, I think our education system in Glendale is one of the highest in the state. We provide an amazing platform for all our students to come to school, be safe and be heard and get top education, and you will probably soon find out. Our graduating classes soon our counselors will put out the universities and the colleges they're accepted to, and that's just a joy. I mean, if you ever have an opportunity to go watch one of our high school graduations, you hear about the number of students and the schools they've been accepted to, and it just makes us extremely proud, and it shows us that what we're doing is working.
Well, the commission is happy to have been a small part of it, and I think we'd like to continue to do it. Obviously, we'll raise it again next year, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
I don't have a question, but I would like to say thank you for coming and presenting all this information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Next is oral communications. However, we do not have any cards or callers at the moment. And so we can move on to the next item, which are consent items.
Okay. Do you want to proceed with the first one, or should I?
It It's just one item, the approval of the minutes.
Okay.
And
Does anybody have any comments or changes to the minutes? Can I have a motion to approve them?
I can motion.
I second it.
Roll call, please.
Commissioners Bruselian,
Yes.
Bojayan,
Yes.
Farian, Tatians,
Yes.
Chair Lambalot.
Yes. Okay, next item, please.
Next are action items. The first action item is a request for a proclamation from the Glendale City Council designating June 2023 as Pride Month. Motion requesting your proclamation from Glendale City Council designating June 2023 as Pride Month. And this is to essentially promote awareness and education to the community regarding the celebration and commemoration of LGBTQIA plus Pride Month. CSW may request a proclamation from council, and chair of the commission may receive the proclamation on behalf of CSW as together with other community organizations, for instance, Glendale Out and Gallus. And I think that's all for.
Thank you, Dr. Abashian. This item is open for discussion. This is something new. We haven't done this before. Yes, Commissioner Tatiana.
I was really excited to see this on the agenda, and I would love for the city to designate June as Pride Month, and I think it would be great for our community. I know a lot of the bigger cities are doing as we travel in June. This started, I remember I was in New York about 6-7 years ago. The entire city was in flags, and I'm seeing more and more cities joining. And I would love for Glendale to join a lot of the larger cities as well.
And the fact that the commission would be requesting this proclamation and receiving it hopefully with other groups too, I think would be terrific.
In June, I think.
In June, yes.
And if I may add, in addition to the proclamation, the commission may also request that the city hall may be lit up with pride colors throughout the month of June.
Any other discussion at this point? Okay, so the alternative, and there's no fiscal impact, the alternative is, or one of the alternatives we have is approve the motion requesting a proclamation from Glendale City Council designating June 2023 as Pride Month and request that Glendale City Hall be lit with pride colors during the month of June.
Yes.
Would anybody like to make a motion?
I can make a motion.
I can second it.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioners Bruselian,
Yes.
Bojayan,
Yes.
Farian, Tatians,
Yes.
Chair Lambalot.
Yes. Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item is update ad hoc committees to support the 2023-2026 strategic plan for the Commission on the Status of Women. And one motion providing further direction on ad hoc committees. The commission had formed different ad hoc committees to address the specific aims of the old strategic plan, as well as the report on the status of women in Glendale. And I have a list of the ad hoc committees here for your viewing so that it's easier to see.
Thank you.
And so staff asked for direction for a new direction, I guess, on different members who could serve on ad hoc committees. The only recommendation is that no more than 2 members serve on each ad hoc committee so that there won't be any Brown Act violations. And
Right.
also the ex officio members can serve on multiple committees because they're not voting members.
Right. And then we'd have no quorum issues either. So currently, the ad hoc committees, they've changed over time, and we've had temporary ones. Currently, we also have a strategic plan ad hoc committee, which I think when we're done with this project, we will dissolve. And we also have a report on the status of women and girls ad hoc committee. Dr. Abashian will report on where we are with that. But again, that's a temporary ad hoc because when we're done with that, we won't need it for another few years. The next one. So the current ad hoc committees, and the members are on the board there, and they tracked our strategic aims in the last strategic plan. The new strategic plan, if you recall, when it was approved at this commission meeting last time, now has 3 aims instead of 4. So evaluate and assess, policy development, advocacy and advising, and education awareness and outreach. So one of the options, if we want to sort of continue the way we were doing before, is to create 3 ad hoc committees that track the strategic aims. And under each of the aims in the report, you'll recall that there are goals that are enumerated with bullet points. And those are designed to also guide the ad hocs in the direction, or they should give guidance to the ad hocs as to what we're trying to accomplish under each of the aims. And then assuming that we want to proceed with the ad hocs, I think we need to establish that first. Do we establish the 3 ad hocs that track these 3 aims? Then we'll ask for volunteers to be on the ad hoc committees. And then I think there'll be a discussion about an additional one that I think we want to talk about. Correct, Commissioner Tatians?
Well, I'm looking at education awareness and outreach, and I think a lot of what we had discussed in the other one would be part of that. So I think
Okay.
we could definitely incorporate it as part of the 3rd aim.
And we're talking about International Women's Day. We did create last year, an International Women's Day ad hoc committee, but it was just a short-term committee, and we were not able to actually proceed with a program. But obviously, we'd like to do one for next March. So, okay, that's great. All right, so let's open for discussion first of all, and then we can look at the alternatives. Yes, Greer?
So I'm not exactly sure, since I don't know what month we got reelected in by the committee, or the commission, sorry, long day. But I am moving to college in August, which is in Pennsylvania. So I assume I'm no longer going to be able to serve on the commission.
So this will be your last meeting then?
This will probably be my last meeting. But I don't know if Emma is going to be able to continue. I know she's closer in the area.
Emmy, go on.
Yeah,
Emma.
I'll definitely be able to continue during the August meeting.
Okay.
But obviously, I will not be able to serve on any more ad hoc committees, so I'll have to withdraw from the committee that I'm on. But
Yes, that's fine. Well, I think the idea is we're going to dissolve the ones that
Yeah,
we
in that
currently
case,
have,
yeah.
and then we'll start over
Okay.
with the members, assuming the commission agrees to that.
thank you.
Because over there, I'm by myself.
Okay, any other discussion? Should we talk about the various alternatives?
So we're going to dissolve and then redo them, recreate them.
That's one of the alternatives.
Okay.
Depending on what-
And ex officio Roth can continue serving up until the time when you move to college. So you're welcome to continue serving on the ad hoc committees.
In other words, this may not be your last meeting, because since your term's not up yet, there could be a special meeting that's called. Any number of things can happen between now and August.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. So feel free to join one if you'd like. And if you don't volunteer, that's up to you, that's fine too. So the alternatives are, we may provide updates regarding the ad hoc committees. The second alternative is the commission may craft new ad hoc committees to track the 2023-2026 strategic plan, keep some ad hoc committees, close others, and assign members to each open ad hoc committee, or any other alternative. So is there anyone who would like to make a motion at this point? Well, I don't want to shut down any discussion. Do we need to discuss this further?
I just wanted to say, because we have this new strategic plan, it would make sense for us to have people fit within these 3 strategic aims rather than having the other 4 ad hoc committees. And I think it makes it a lot more clear what you're working on, especially with all the bullet points that have been outlined. So I like the idea of using the new plan for the ad hoc committees.
And I have a question, Ms. Varpetian. If we go ahead and then close the ad hoc committees 1 through 4 and vote to create ad hoc committees 1 through 3 that track the other, the strategic aims, do we need to also state that the ad hoc committee on the report on the status of women and girls and the strategic plans are in place for now? Does that need to be part of the motion, or do we not need to address that?
Chair Lambalot, the ad hoc committees by definition have limited terms. So once their work concludes, you don't have to take any additional action to wind them down.
Thank you.
So if the work of the committees has concluded, then that's all that's necessary.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay. Are we ready for a motion?
So
No?
would you make, I apologize, one sec. Would you make a motion to first to rearrange the ad hoc committees and then make a separate motion to appoint different commissioners? So there would be 2 motions, correct?
I believe so.
You could do it however,
I think
this is your committee, you could do it however you like, and that's certainly an organized way of doing that.
Yes, I would agree. And does anybody disagree with that?
That's fine.
Okay. So we need a motion, first of all, establishing these 3 ad hocs to track the 2023-2026 strategic plan.
Is that number 2 alternative? You can create.
That would be an ad hoc committee under strategic aim 1, evaluate and assess, ad hoc committee called policy development, advocacy, and advising that would track strategic aim 2, and an ad hoc that would be education, awareness, and outreach that would track strategic aim 3. And I believe Commissioner Perrion may have requested to be on a particular ad hoc.
Yes, we can pull that up.
Okay. All right, so first we would need a motion to establish those 3 ad hoc committees in place of the currently existing 1 through 4.
I motion to move this.
I can second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioners Bruselian,
Yes.
Ojayan,
Yes.
Perrion, Tatians,
Yes.
Chair Lambalot.
Yes. Thank you. I believe that we can now open it up to volunteers for the various commissions.
I'd like to stay on the evaluate and assess, please.
Okay.
I'm interested in the education awareness and outreach.
Commissioner Kajayan?
Education awareness and outreach is, 2 people can be?
2 people,
2 people,
yes.
okay.
So that would be, so number 3 would be Commissioner Tatians and Commissioner Kajayan.
Yes.
Yes. Greer?
I would love to serve on the education awareness and outreach throughout the summer.
Okay. Emma?
I was going to say the same. Is it possible for 2 ex
Yes.
officios? Okay.
Yes, that's not a problem. Okay.
Sorry, I apologize.
Great.
Commissioner Perrion is interested also in joining the policy development team.
Okay, so ad hoc committee number 3 then is staffed with 2 commissioners and the 2 student ex officios. And Commissioner Bruselian, you were interested in evaluate and assess? Yes. Okay. And then I am happy to join ad hoc committee 1 and 2 as the second commissioner if nobody else wants to. But if somebody else wants to, then that's fine with me too. Yes, Greer.
I mean, I know I don't count as a commissioner, of course, on the ad hoc, but I would also love to be a part of policy development, advocacy, and advising.
Okay. So are you able to go over who's volunteered for what? Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch. I have, for evaluate and assess, I have Bruselian and Lambalot. And for the second ad hoc committee, policy development, advocacy, and advising, I have, I apologize, sorry.
We heard you.
I'll have to restate it for the
Okay.
public. So for the first ad hoc committee, evaluate and assess, we have Commissioner Bruselian and Chair Lambalot. For the second ad hoc committee, policy development, advocacy, and advising, we have Chair Lambalot, Commissioner Perrian, and ex officio Roth. And for the third ad hoc committee, which is education awareness and outreach, we have Commissioner Khojayan and Commissioner Tatians, and also ex officio Roth and ex officio Gonzalez.
Okay, that sounds good. I think we need a motion for that.
Yes.
Would anybody like to make a motion along those lines? I can't, so.
I'll make a motion. Do I need to repeat everything?
No.
I'll make a motion that just as Dr. Bajian read for the commissioners and the ex officios to be in the particular strategic aim ad hoc committees.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioners Bruselian,
Yes.
Khojayan,
Yes.
Perrian, Tatians,
Yes.
Chair Lambalot.
Yes. Thank you all. Next item, please.
Our next item is the legislative update, motion providing direction on state legislation. We have with us Kira Ross, who works for our city's lobbying firm, and she will be giving a brief overview of the new legislative calendar and the bills that might interest the Commission on the Status of Women. So I have her online on, and I will give the mic to her. I also have a PowerPoint that will enable us to take a look at the list of bills that are there. So 1 second here. Let me share the screen. Here we go. Okay, Kira, you're welcome to start.
Let it go?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Good
yes.
afternoon. As they noted, Kira Ross with Emanuels Jones, and we are the city's contract lobbying firm up here in Sacramento. It's always inspiring to hear, as we did earlier a few minutes ago, from the youth in the community, so that was a lot of fun to hear. Today, we wanted to talk a little bit about the legislative process and where we are, and then we have 6 bills that are moving through the legislative process that we wanted to bring to you for consideration for a position to take a position and support or oppose or however you'd like to do on some of these bills. We're about halfway through. We're coming up to about the halfway mark in the legislative process. They came back to start the 2-year legislative session in January. And over the last couple of months, the legislative policy committees have been meeting and listening and taking up bills for passage out of the policy committees or holding them or amendments. They have a couple of different options of things that they can do. The 6 bills that we are looking at today have all gotten out of the legislative policy committees and are now in the fiscal committees or on the floor at this point. The fiscal committees, which of course the Senate Fiscal Committee, Senate Appropriations Committee, is chaired currently by Senator Portantino, is the committee in the legislature that looks at the fiscal aspects of a bill and very specifically the fiscal impacts to the state. So they're going to look at what kind of impacts to the state's general fund or impacts to a state agency that these bills would have a cost to those agencies. And when they find that a bill has typically $150,000 of cost or more, they will put that bill in, they'll sort of hold it and put it in a holding pattern on what's known as the suspense calendar. So a couple of these bills are on the suspense calendar. Those will be taken up next Thursday at the end of session, about the 18th of May. And then at the end of the month, all of these bills have to get out of what's called their House of Origin, meaning that an Assembly bill has to pass off the Assembly floor, or a Senate bill has to pass off the Senate floor, and then in June, they'll start this process over. So I'm going to just go through the bills. Please, if you have a question, speak up. I can't see the room, so I can only hear if somebody says something. So I'll start on the bills, and then if people have questions, please let me know. The first bill that I wanted to talk about was AB 246 by Assemblymember Pappen. And this is a bill that would prohibit, beginning January 1, 2025, a person from manufacturing, distributing, selling, or offering for sale in the state any menstrual products that contain regulated PFAS, excuse me. Menstrual product under the bill is defined very broadly, so it could be anything from tampons, pads, sponges, menstrual underwear, cups, any kind of product that is used for menstruation. And PFAS, if you're not familiar with them, this is per and polyfluorinated substances. It's a very large group of synthetic, highly fluorinated substances that have been widely used in industrial and consumer applications, but are now being found, and have been over the last several years, found to have some very significant health impacts when they are contained in products that people use on a daily basis. This is a bill that is a priority of the environmental groups broadly, and also a priority of the Legislative Women's Caucus. It is currently on the Assembly floor awaiting a vote. I don't believe it has any opposition. And it has support from a broad group, including professional firefighters, sanitation districts, Silicon Valley Youth Action Climate Committee, and others. So I'll stop there and see if there are any questions on the bill.
Any questions? Yes, Greer.
Hi. Okay, so I think my main question is, of course, we're all aware of the pink tax that exists in our country, and access to, often menstrual products such as tampons and pads can be difficult depending on the community you live in. So how would that increase the cost of these menstrual products, or is it a switch that companies are willing to make without increasing prices?
Theoretically, it could increase the price of the product to the extent that the company has to reconfigure their product. But in terms of how it relates to the pink tax, I don't think it has much of a relationship to the legislative work and the policy that's already there on pink tax and trying to keep prices stable. I think this is going to happen more. Let me step back. A lot of times bills like this, part of the reason that legislators push them in California is because if you push it in California, California is such an enormous market, we often will see that changes will happen nationwide. And so that's kind of the broader push. So theoretically, it could raise the price, but I think that this is something that they're probably already doing in other parts of the world. I suspect they're already doing it in Europe. And so it may not have that much of an impact.
I think, sorry, I don't know if maybe what I said was a little misconstrued, but I think when I was saying with the pink taxes already, in our country, we have as women to pay more for these supplies. And I think, yes, I do think it's a great bill, just environmentally, but I just was curious about in low-income communities, how that's going to affect them, and if it will affect them disproportionately, as it's already sometimes difficult for them to afford products like that. But I totally understand. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
I suppose also in the bigger picture, the cost, the incremental cost, I assume, would be incremental for the products, would be balanced against the cost of health care for women that are adversely affected by these products.
Yeah, you certainly could make that argument, certainly could be made to the extent that we're already as a state, society, country paying for the costs of using these kinds of PFAS in our products. In terms of the actual cost on the bill, there wasn't a cost to the state or anything else. I think these are broader environmental healthcare questions.
Okay, great. Thank you. Oh, excuse me, Commissioner Brasilian?
sorry for my ignorance, what did you call these PFAS? What did you call them?
They're called PFAS, and these are they're a category of organic chemicals that are fully fluorinated, and so they're commonly called PFAS. They've also been found in our water supply and a number of other areas. They're from, as I understand it, they leach from the plastics and from products. And they are, let's see if I can give you a better explanation of them. They are a large group of synthetic, highly fluorinated substances that have been widely used in industrial and consumer applications for their heat, water, and lipid resistance properties for more than 7 decades. They are long-lasting chemicals that break down very slowly over time. And they are ubiquitous in indoor and outdoor environments, plants, soil, food, drinking water, wildlife, companion animals. They've been found all over the place. But what we know about them is that they can lead to health issues if you're with overexposure. And so there's been an effort to remove these from our water supply, to remove them from products, and try to get them out of less exposure of humans.
So I'm guessing it's a liquid substance, not a filler.
No, I think it is a liquid, although I should double check that.
And the role that it plays, do you know the role that they play? I mean, what are they for? For preservation, or do you know what they do? I'm just curious. If you don't know, that's okay. I'm just curious.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we can go on to the next bill.
Okay. Do you want to, let me just ask this question. Do you want to take positions or do you want to do that as a broad group at the end, or do you want to individually do a motion on each bill?
We usually do it at the end, so we'll just continue with that practice.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay, so the next bill is AB 1015, and this is by Assemblymember Calderon. And this is a bill that would require the California Department of Social Services to establish a statewide diaper and wipe distribution program for qualified low-income families. Today, 8 counties have a diaper and wipe bank that is often paired with food banks in the community. And in those 8 counties, they've been funded by the state. The funding goes from the state to nonprofit groups or food banks to provide a bank, essentially, of diaper and wipes for low-income individuals. They found this to be quite successful. There's one that's actually in Los Angeles, run in coordination with the LA Regional Food Bank. And as I said, 8 counties have them. This bill would establish a similar program and expand it statewide to all 58 counties, using food banks and other partnering entities to distribute diapers and wipes to those in need. And this would typically be for people that have children up to about 3 years old who are in need of diapers and wipes in low-income communities. The bill is currently in the Appropriations Committee. It is on the suspense file because it has a price tag of about $10 million to do it. So we'll see if it can get off the suspense file, but I think it's a pretty worthy bill in terms of making sure that people that are low income have access to be able to get diapers and wipe, especially if they are in a position that they can't afford it. I'll stop there and see if any questions.
Any questions?
I had a question. Is this an actual distribution of diapers and wipes and such, or is this going to be some kind of a reimbursement program, or they get a voucher for the amount?
This is an actual distribution. So today with a WIC program, you can get a $30 voucher. But for this particular program, the state funded it to the tune of about $30 million about a year ago. And they actually fund the program in coordination with a food bank. And the food bank hands out the diapers and wipes so that the person can get them if they come in for food or for other services, then they could just pick up a supply of them.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
You just mentioned WIC, the $30. Do they get that now already?
Some people can. It's not clear if it's all the same people because there's different programs. This would use anybody that is eligible at a food bank could get the diapers and wipes. The WIC program and the $30 reimbursement is only for people that are enrolled in a WIC in the WIC Welfare to Work program. So I think the program that we're looking at that they're trying to take statewide is a broader application than the WIC Welfare to Work program that provides a $30 reimbursement.
And how would you keep track of the people that are obtaining them through WIC versus the food bank? I mean, could they get them from both and double up?
Yeah, they might be able to do that.
Yeah.
Food banks typically can, some food banks ask, or not ask, but don't ask for any information. There may be some tracking that's needed because the state may ask for that, but I could certainly see there may be people that get it on both ends, get the $30 and get the free diapers and wipes.
Right, and then take it from other people who might need it, and it may run out, right? I mean, at a certain point?
Yeah, potentially could. The $10 million cost tag or price tag that's attached to it is to supply statewide on an annual basis. So I'm not so sure because they're two separate funding sources. They probably could cover the cost for both. If somebody's getting double dipping, there probably aren't that many people that would double dip.
Okay, thank you.
I have just a question. Do they have to register for these two places? The low income?
So the Welfare to Work, they certainly would have to register because they'd have to be part of that program and be eligible for WIC. The food banks, I don't think they may have to register separately at the food bank. Often food banks just take in anybody that walks in the door. And so they may be a little bit different. It would depend on what their registration processes are. But potentially they might have to register in two spots.
Thank you.
It looks like there's no further discussion on this bill.
Okay, then we will move on to the third bill, which is AB 1203 by, let me find my notes on it, Assemblymember Bain. There it is. So this bill provides a temporary exemption under the sales and use tax law for breast pumps and related items. And so it would provide an exemption between January 1, 2024 and until January 1, 2029. So you wouldn't have to pay sales or use tax for breast pumps, breast pump collection and storage supplies, breast pumps kits, and breast pads. It is in Appropriations Committee. It has not yet been set. A couple of the questions that may come up on this bill. Sales and use tax, there's a state level and a local level. This would apply broadly, so it would apply to both the state and the local sales tax, meaning that the state would not bring in as much sales tax and the locals would not bring in as much local, meaning the city would, if somebody bought this in the city, they would not pay, the city would not get the sales tax that would apply to this. It is also, the other question that popped up that I thought may pop up for people here is that often breast pumps are covered by either private insurance or WIC programs or Medicaid. So this is trying to help folks. So those that already get it covered obviously wouldn't need to buy it, but this is trying to get to the issue of equity. So in communities where people might not be able to afford a breast pump and they're not covered by Medicaid or WIC or their private insurance, this would give them a sales tax break on those, the breast pumps and related supplies. So it is supported has a sponsor called Parity for Pumps, and has support from the American Academy of Pediatrics and a number of other organizations. It has opposition from the California Tax Reform Association, that is a anti-tax group that does not really support any exemptions across the board. So it's not policy-wise, it's a blanket policy of no support for tax exemptions. So I'll stop there and see if there are any questions on this one.
It looks like we don't have any questions on that one.
Okay. The next one is AB 1432 by Assemblymember Carrillo. This is a bill that would require all out-of-state healthcare insurance providers who provide coverage to California residents to comply with California's constitutional amendment to secure comprehensive reproductive health care, including abortion and gender-affirming care as a right. So today, California has decided certain rules surrounding abortion and gender affirming care and reproductive health care. What this bill does is it says if you are an insurance provider that has employees that are in California, but the insurance provider resides outside of California where they might not have to comply with California law today in certain aspects, this bill would say if you provide insurance to somebody in California and you're an employer, you would have to comply with California law. It does not say anything about the policies of what they provide. It just says if you're outside of California and you have a California employee, you have to meet California law. You have to do the same as every other insurance provider in California. The bill is in Appropriations Committee. It is up on this next week on Wednesday. So we'll see what happens to it. And there is opposition from support comes, the bill is actually sponsored by the California Department of Insurance, as it's really seen as somewhat of a technical bill. And Equality Californian is another sponsor. It is supported by a number of different groups. It does have opposition from the California Catholic Conference and the Right to Life League, who are opposed because they believe they have issues with any insurance covering abortion or reproductive health care for these issues. So I'll stop there and see if there are any questions.
Any questions? Yes, Gru?
So currently so if the company is based in California, we currently do have laws that require them to cover abortion and all of that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So a company that is based in California would have to comply with California law that already covers these issues.
Okay.
This is only applicable to a company that is not based in California, but might have an employee in California. So maybe this is a company that has a branch office in California.
Sure.
And the bill would say that if you're based in Kansas and you don't have to follow California law in Kansas, now if you're going to have an employee in California, you have to provide the same coverage as any California-based insurance company would provide.
And sorry, follow up. I guess, do you think that might be considered as a violation of the Commerce Clause by any chance, since it's crossing state borders? Or, I'm sure this is something that's worked on, but does it have possibility to be challenged in court if it does pass?
Certainly someone could challenge it in court. This is based off some recent court cases in California.
Sure.
And it's sponsored by the insurance department or state insurance agency. So my hunch is that they're trying to implement some recent litigation, the outcome of recent litigation.
Okay, thank you so much.
You mentioned there is an opposition about this bill. You mentioned Catholic and who else?
The Right to Life Committee.
Thank you.
It's an anti-abortion group.
Do you have a question? Yeah, sure.
Sorry, super quick. I'm just curious, are we hearing any opposition from the actual insurance groups? Have they spoken about how they feel on the bill?
They are silent on the bill.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think we're on to the next bill.
So the next bill is Mr. Portantino, or Senator Portantino's bill, SB 257, and this is a rerun of a bill that you supported last year, SB 974. It's another insurance bill. It requires healthcare coverage without imposing cost sharing for screening, mammography, medically necessary diagnostic or supplemental breast examinations, diagnostic mammography, and a couple of other areas that today, insurance will cover, generally covers your first mammogram, but they might not, or they'll cover future mammograms that are needed, but they might have a copay that's associated with that service. This bill would say that you can't have that additional copay. It also applies to PPOs and would apply to the additional cost if you have a PPO once the person has hit their annual cost, or their deductible has been met. The bill, Senator Portantino ran this bill last year. It went down to the governor. It had no opposition last year and no votes. So it was a unanimous support. It did have opposition from the insurance companies. And the governor vetoed it and said this would be way too much additional cost for the state to do this. And so he's rerunning it again this year. And so his big issue is going to be the governor's office and whether they'll support it. But I'll see if you have any questions.
So they would, to reiterate, they would cover the first exam on your annual, but if there's something, like if something comes up in the imaging, then they may not cover the second mammogram. Is that correct?
It's not that they wouldn't cover it. It's that they may charge a copay to it. And that's what he's trying to eliminate, is he's saying any additional necessary mammography or diagnostic, that can't be, you can't have a copay on that part. It has to be just fully covered.
And what would the copay entail? Is it based on the person's insurance plan, or is it a blanket copay?
No, it's based on the insurance, individual insurance.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Well, I just had a comment that we read a lot, especially during COVID, people couldn't afford healthcare and they were delaying a lot of regular exams such as this. So having this would essentially eliminate women saying, you know, I have to eat or have to get my annual breast exam. So I really hope it passes. I think this would be wonderful.
I want to be sure if I heard correctly. You said this bill, he's trying to eliminate the copayment?
Yes.
Oh,
So typically a well woman coverage within an insurance policy covers that first mammogram just an annual mammogram you have at no cost. On the additional, so if you're called back and they have to do another mammogram, or if there's supplemental breast examinations or diagnostic work or testing or screening or anything like that, sometimes on those additional actions that need to happen, the insurance companies will say, we'll cover it, but we're going to charge you a copay. So whatever your copay is, and that really depends on the kind of insurance you have. This bill is saying on those additional actions, as they relate to breast issues, the state would not allow the insurance companies to charge a copay or additional co-cost to go with it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Emma.
So before you mentioned a very hefty cost that prevented this bill from moving forward, would you happen to know how much it was?
Yeah, hang on. I pulled it for you, actually. So the governor said last year he thought that this would increase premiums by $117 million because the theory that the governor had is that by making them cover the entire cost, then everyone else on insurance covers that cost more broadly, right? So his argument was that it would statewide across all health plans in California, it would increase premiums by $117 million.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think we're on to the last bill.
The last one. So AB 260 by Senator Menjivar deals with CalWORKs participants in supportive services. And the bill would add, beginning April 1st, 2025, menstrual product costs to the list of necessary supportive services benefits available to eligible California Work Opportunity in Response to Kids or CalWORKs participants in order for them to participate in assigned CalWORKs welfare to work or other program activities as provided in the bill. So we talked about diapers and wipes. This is sort of on the other end. This bill would say that if you're a participant in CalWORKs and if you're part of the welfare to work program, you get certain benefits today and they cover certain costs of certain products. This would say that they would now they would cover the cost as a benefit. So you get either a reimbursement, probably not reimbursement, but probably a voucher to cover menstrual products so that those are covered if you're part of the welfare to work program. The bill, I believe, is in Appropriations Committee on the suspense calendar. It's got a pretty heavy fiscal cost. They're saying estimated costs are about $32 million a year. The bill has a lot of support from a number of different groups. Let me just name it. It's a long list. This is the one. This is one of the sponsored by like the Girl Scouts and other programs that are trying to put together a program. Access for Reproductive Justice, Alliance for Girls, Alliance for Period Supplies, California High School Democrats, a whole long list of folks. It has no opposition, but it does have a very high price tag, so that will potentially be an issue for it. So I'll see if there are any questions on this bill.
It appears we have no questions on this. And so now we can go over the alternatives. But first, I'd like to say thank you so much, Kira, for joining us. And I'd like to thank and compliment Dr. Abajian for the idea for you to come and join our quarterly meetings when you're available, because it really makes for a very dynamic and informative discussion. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun to do it on my end.
Glad to hear it. Okay, so we have various alternatives we could look at. I suppose the best way to start is alternative one is the commission may approve support for the 6 bills as presented in this report and recommend the city council support, which I believe consists of a letter to the bill's authors that the city supports it. Are there any bills, any of the 6 bills that anyone is opposed to supporting? Maybe that's the way to start it. Yes, Greer?
Can I make a comment before we vote or before we approve?
We're just discussing now, so make whatever comment you want.
Well, I think, commissioners, I urge you to consider the possible negatives to the first bill, which, first of all, I feel our job as a commission is to guarantee access for all the women in our community. That's a priority to us. It seems from the research and the things I've read about PFAS, it has a larger environmental impact, also looking at who's supporting the bill, than it does on our human health. And if we look at a lot of the products we have as in our state in general, not necessarily menstrual products, a lot of things do offer this exact same health effect, which is a potential of cancer. So I think that in this case, we have to prioritize access and the fact that with this bill doesn't have any options that help limit the possible increase on prices. And if bill, I think it's the last one, I don't know if that's number 6, if that does pass, that would completely disband my whole issue with this bill. But my priority is that bill points out the fact that we have not a lot of infrastructure that helps people in communities that are less privileged afford these products. And just from the research I've done, from what I've heard. So if we don't have that infrastructure and a bill like this passes, that could dramatically decrease the ability for people to access these products. I mean, maybe not dramatically, but already with inflation, prices are skyrocketing with everything. And I think that it's a concern to me that, yes, it probably won't be a huge increase in price, but I think that we should be prioritizing access and really pushing a bill like number 6 rather than focusing and improving something like this. I just think that it'll cause issues at the end of the day and overall an increase. I mean, obviously I can't predict the future, but I just urge the commissioners to consider that before supporting or not supporting the bill, I guess. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Comments?
I respectfully disagree with you because I think if California was to pass a bill like this, this may become an example for the rest of the country to eliminate these products for women. These are not things that we sit on, or it's not a piece of furniture. These are things that are intimately involved with women's bodies, and putting these products in your body that can cause cancer. I think we should absolutely make sure that these products are not causing any type of cancer or we're putting them inside of our bodies. So I think if we support this bill, and we don't know if the price will go up or not, right? Because if this becomes the norm that these products cannot be used in all menstrual products that we make. Like, think of asbestos. Asbestos used to be how we built buildings, and then they said asbestos is not good, and now everyone has eliminated. We don't know if things are more expensive or not, but I think if we know that these products specifically cause cancer or could have health issues, I think that's something I would highly consider. The safety of women using it is the most important. I would rather that something is more expensive, but it's safe to use, versus less expensive and can cause cancer long-term.
Thank you. And I'm not sure, I think Kira could possibly comment on this, but I don't think it's like one or the other, like support one, I mean, that one bill 6 would take care of would balance out Bill 1. And remember that our role is to decide whether to recommend to City Council to send a letter of support to the bill's author. We're not actually voting on the bills, but that is our position. So obviously, all comments are welcome. Yes, Commissioner Bustillo.
Yeah, I agree with you. The first bill has nothing to do with the sixth bill, and I agree with Commissioner Tatians on this as well. I mean, if you're using this and it's going to might cause a problem in the future based on your health, then no, I agree.
Yes, Greer.
So I guess this is a question more for on the bill, so addressing it more to the online here, but I mean, from what I'm reading and what you were talking about with the PFAS, I don't know what the plural would be of that. PFAS. Yeah, PFAS, thank you. It doesn't seem like there are these extreme reports that we're getting from the health effects. I mean, a lot of the things that we use as women, birth control, to name one, IUDs, they have these consequences that we know. And if maybe I was misunderstanding, but it seems that with these PFAS, it might kind of be on that same level. It's not necessarily, I don't know what the data is. I'm just kind of curious about that, I guess, if it's dramatic to the point where, yes, we should be eliminating it.
Well, let me just make a comment there. And I don't know if this is analogous, but I mean, for a long time, talcum powder was considered safe.
Sure.
And it wasn't until later that it was discovered that a common substance like that babies and women, are used on babies and women is problematic. And I think California is often, if I'm not mistaken, Kira, I know certainly in the legal field, on the cutting edge of a lot of these issues, and often the first to be a proponent of something like this. So I don't know if you can comment further on that. Please don't feel like you have to. It's just,
of course.
If there's anything further you can add.
Yeah, I am just looking at the policy committee analysis, and just so that how is it used? It's used during, it's used in a lot of different areas. In consumer products, it's used in carpets, furniture, fabric, apparel, paper packaging, non-stick cookware, personal care products, other products designed to be waterproof. It's used extensively in surface coating and protectant formulations due to its unique ability to release the surface tension in liquids. And then in terms of the effects, so DTSC, the Department of Toxic Substance Control in California, which is really California's top scientists, contend that exposure to PFAS can lead to adverse health outcomes in humans. If humans are exposed to PFAS through diet, drinking water, or inhalation, some of these chemicals remain in the body for a long time. As people continue to be exposed to PFAS, the PFAS levels in their body may increase to a point they suffer adverse health effects. And according to the US CPA, and current peer-reviewed scientific studies have shown that exposure to certain levels of PFAS may lead to reproductive effects such as decreased fertility, increased high blood pressure, developmental effects, delays in children, low birth weight, accelerated puberty, bone variations, behavioral changes, the whole multitude of cancers. So it's got a lot of different things. And the working theory that I understand from committees up here, from the legislative policy committees and the discussions, is that it gets into the exposure, the more exposure you have, it gets into the body, and it can start to have all sorts of different kinds of effects. The other thing I think that is worth considering is that with the bill on, Menjivar's bill on supportive services, that is only applicable to one particular program and not applicable as the first bill applies to all products would affect any menstruating female. So anybody between, say 9 or 10 or up to into their 50s. So they're different sort of categories of women, I would say, or people. I mean, people generally doesn't always have to be women.
Thank you, Kara. Any other discussion? So looking at the alternatives, would anybody like to make a motion at this point?
Are we motioning to support all of them or
It's
none
one
of
of the
them?
alternatives, yeah. Yes, that's one of the alternatives, alternative one.
I agree with alternative one.
Alternative one is the commission may approve support for the 6 bills as presented in this report and recommend city council support. Alternative 2 is the commission may approve support for a portion of the bills in this report and recommend council support on those specific bills. And alternative 3 is the commission may choose to not support any of the bills presented in this report and thus make no recommendation to council at this time. And alternative 4 is any other alternative. So would anyone like to make a motion at this point?
I could make a motion to support all 6 bills.
You mean alternative one?
Correct.
I second it.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioners Bruselian,
Yes.
Bojayan,
Yes.
Herian, Tatians,
Yes.
Chair Lamblad.
Yes. Okay, next item on the agenda, please.
Next item is public hearing for the 2023-2026 strategic plan. On February 13, the Commission on the Status of Women approved to hold a public hearing during the May 8th, 2023 Commission meeting to solicit public input on how to best implement the plan to meet the needs of the community. Key community partners such as YMCA of Glendale and Pasadena, Seroptimist International of Glendale, Essentia Armenian Relief Society, Glendale Unified School District, Glendale Community College, the 3 local hospitals, as well as many other local organizations were notified and were sent copies of the new strategic plan, and they were invited to submit either written comments or come and attend the commission meeting and make comments during this public hearing.
Thank you, Dr. Bashian. It appears that no one is present. Were there any written comments submitted?
There were no written comments submitted.
Okay, so I guess we close the public hearing. Okay.
Open the hearing at 5:26.
Okay. Next item.
Next item is Commission on the Status of Women and Staff comments.
Okay. Dr. Bashian, did you have any comments?
I do. I have a few comments. My first comment is that the report on the status of women is on its way. Chair Lambelat and I have been giving extensive feedback to the team at the Mount St. Mary's University, and going back and forth, we've provided multiple revisions, feedback on multiple revisions, and the final draft should be sent to us soon for us to then bring it to the next commission meeting and have a discussion for approval of the report, as well as hold a public meeting then, because that was one of the requirements of the grant that we received from the California Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, that we would reach out to the public, so we would need to hold a public hearing as well for that. And I think we have a strong report that's very informative. I don't know if you wanted to add anything, Chair Lamblad, to that.
Yes, I think Dr. Baji and I have been through the report several times, and we've worked with Mount St. Mary's, and Mount St. Mary's has been very responsive to our questions and the revisions that we'd like to have made. And sometimes there's not really data available, but they have worked with us to do the best that they can on that. And so I think it's nearly a 50-page report at this point. Yeah, so I think that hopefully the commission will be happy with the product, but it should be done for the commission's review by next meeting.
Fantastic.
Thank you for your hard work on this. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And I just have one quick question. Would this report be public to members of the community as well?
Yes, it would be publicly posted on the commission website and available for downloading. I think it has very informative information on Glendale women, and we made sure that all populations, all Glendale women populations were represented appropriately in the report. So I think it's going to be very informative for our community.
Thank you.
I have two other announcements. One of them is that we are currently in the process of hiring an analyst who will be assisting with the operations of CSW. Myself and my office have covered the two meetings that we've had, but it's been a challenge.
But you've done it very, very well. Thank you.
But we're excited to be in the process of hiring a new analyst whose partial work will be with the commission as well as other projects within the city clerk's department. We're very excited about that. And then finally, I received a correspondence from the California Commission on the Status of Women. The California Labor Commissioner's Office and the California Commission on the Status of Women and Girls are joining together to inform workers about pay transparency, SB 1162, and equal pay in California. Their joint purpose is to ensure equal pay and equal opportunities are available in every workforce in the state while promoting economic justice and full enforcement of California labor laws. The California Commission would like to contact organizations. They contacted us and asked us to also put this out to the community to ask for their assistance in distributing a link to a survey to their employees. If they have 15 or more employees, then or distribute to people on their mailing list. And after the survey responses are gathered, the commission will be recording a panel where questions will be answered, and organizations will receive access to the video for distribution. And this survey is currently posted. We went ahead and posted it on the commission website, and the survey closes May 12th at noon. And wanted to make sure that the commission was aware of this survey and also to promote it.
Thank you. So I assume we can individually then do outreach to our contacts in the community and give them a link to the website and let them know that that survey is there.
Yes, and I'll send the commission an email, with all the relevant information about the survey, so you can pass it on.
Great. And I wanted to mention, since we've, I wanted to backtrack a minute, since the commission approved the strategic plan for 2023-2026 at the last meeting, and we've now had the opportunity to have a public hearing, I believe we present it to the city council at some point. Okay, and so when it's on the city council's agenda, you will let us know so we can attend.
Yes, I have been in conversation with the city manager's office, and we're hoping to put that on the agenda sometime at the end of May or the beginning of June.
Wonderful, thank you.
I will be in communication with the commission so that we can coordinate this and
Wonderful.
have you present there.
Thank you, and thank you so much. I know this has been a lot of extra work for your office, you and your office, but you just dove in, and the support and help is so appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
And I just wanted to make one comment, and I'll open it to everybody else. I did attend virtually the Mount St. Mary's, especially since we're working with them, California Commission on the Status of Women presentation in March. And it was very informative. They had a number of speakers, and it was very informative. And it was pouring rain that day, so I was very happy that they had a virtual link. Okay, any other comments? Yes, Greer?
I just wanted to update the commission on my project at Glendale Library because we've been running now for, I think, 2 or 3 sessions, and it's been wildly successful. I think we had maybe 30 kids come in last time. It's been such an effective program, and I see the same kids coming back every month, so excited and passionate about hearing these stories about girls, and I think that it's a program that I hope to kind of obviously not hand off to the commission, but continue, maybe whether a new ex officio commissioner comes in. But yeah, we have our next reading this weekend, I think Saturday's May 13th at 3 p.m., but it's once a month on Saturdays, and it's been an amazing program. I'm really happy with the progress we're making.
What does it entail for someone to take over the project? So,
Sure.
to continue after you're gone?
Basically, I meet I think, first of all, kind of a meeting at the beginning to determine the books. So we'd have to select, 12 books. Usually we kind of coordinate it with whatever month is going on. So last month, we did something since we had Earth Day and Appreciating the Earth, we read a book about kind of that. So we usually relate it to whatever month is going on. But the future ex officio commissioner would basically just have to maybe it's about an hour meeting, determine the books for the month and the crafts. And then I usually meet just once a month with the head children's librarian to discuss the book and specifics about the projects that we do. But it's really, and then obviously come in and do the reading. But honestly, it's not a huge time commitment. I think establishing it was more what took time. But overall, it's probably 2-3 hours a month. It's really not much commitment.
Have you talked to the library staff or anybody at your school about taking over the program?
Not really, but I think that I would rather entrust it to somebody who's passionate about the Commission of Women, maybe not necessarily on the commission, but I'm passionate about just women's rights overall and kind of empowering little girls. And I don't really know anybody like that at my school or have met anyone. So of course, anyone could take the program over, but I think a lot of it comes with the passion,
Emma?
I definitely know some young girls who are planning on interviewing for the ex officio position next year. So, and they're pretty young, obviously 16 years old. So I know that they would be, open to taking it over.
Yes, we meet actually a lot of passionate young women when we're interviewing for the student ex officios, so they are out there. And I also wanted to mention that Dr. Bajian let all of you know that we're, let me back up. We would call last year, I believe it was, we gave Girls on the Run a grant. And Molly Snow from Girls on the Run has also appeared and spoken to us. And we, along with Seroptimus International of Glendale, who also supported a team in Glendale, have the opportunity on Saturday to volunteer at their 5K race. No running is involved, just she's given us some great spots at the end of the race where we congratulate the girls as they come to the finish line and send out and give out refreshments. And I don't think anybody on the commission was available to go. We have a handful of Seroptimus members who are going, but I will be going, so I'll represent both entities. And it's in Whittier, so it is not that close. And it's like at 7:30 in the morning, so it's very early on a Saturday, too.
Thank you.
So it's fine that no one else. All right, anything else? Any other comments? Then I am requesting a motion of adjournment.
I motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
So the meeting is adjourned at 5:38 p.m. Thank you.